Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is one of the most conflicting games in the franchise. A lot of people think the game is one of the best, while a lot of people think it's one of the worst. Personally, I think the bar cannot be set any lower than Sister Location. Good golly, that game stinks. But in all things seriousness, I do get to see the arguments of both sides. However, I feel as if we need to dissect the game in order to get a concrete opinion. So, join me as we learn how FNAF 2 expanded the original, what it brought, and why I believe it to be one of the best in the franchise. Before we begin, I have an announcement to make. I have a goal for YouTube now. At 100 subs, I'll make a Bill Cipher character analysis. If you are at all interested in this video, subscribe. Of course, you don't have to, it's not a must, but it would really make my day. With that out of the way, let's dive right in. Starting off, we have to explain how the game works. Obviously, you can't have a game without the gameplay. Otherwise, it's just this is absolutely peak gaming. FNAF, FNAF 2 relatively functions the same way FNAF 1 does. You switch between being in the office and in your cameras. However, instead of the doors, you now have the mask to block out animatronics. Yes, that's what the mask is! A lot of people have gripes with the mask, as they see it as it being used too much. To which I'll say, yeah. However, I think it makes up for it in the way it's utilized. Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and Mangle are all blocked by the mask, but their mechanics are distinct enough to qualify as separate in my eyes. I'll go over everyone's mechanics on my thoughts on them in a bit, but before that, I want to discuss the cameras. Although I don't mind the mask being relied on more, I feel like the cameras are very underutilized. In FNAF 1, you don't need it for 3/4 of the animatronics, but it's an absolute must for Freddy. In FNAF 2, the only reason you'll need the cameras is to wind up the music box for the puppet. It disappoints me as a newly introduced mechanic in FNAF 2 is that you can use your flashlight in the cameras. However, since you're on the puppet cam all the time, you have no reason to waste the flashlight's battery, which half the time you forget there even is a battery. Back in my day, you used a crank to power the flashlight. Or it had a cool vacuum to suck up ghosts. I wish there was a way this could be utilized more. Maybe you could use it to prevent an animatronic from coming to your office. Now, I can't talk about the gameplay without the animatronics, so let's do just that. Animatronics. FNAF 2 has the biggest roster in any of the games, with a total of 10, not counting the secret characters. One sec. My thoughts on all of them vary from to one of the best in the franchise. Since we were just talking about her, let's start off with the puppet. The puppet is this tall and lanky animatronic with noodly arms. The design of the puppet always reminded me of Slenderman, and the similar color scheme and shape. Wait a minute. Tall figure with black body and white head. Is this why I had a fear of the white pumpkin as a kid? This makes sense now. I think the design of the puppet is great. However, I'm not a fan of on how you deal with her. See, the way you deal with her with the puppet is the previously stated music box. I've already stated why I dislike this, but gosh darn is that jump scare stressful. The next animatronic you'll probably face is Toy Bonnie. I don't have much to say on him. All you have to do is block him is wear the mask. The animation's cool. I like Toy Chica, however. No one just forgets the first time they see her ominously staring at you. I also love how her design changes when she leaves the stage. I also like her jump scare. It does a good job getting you off guard. Now, at first, my thoughts on Toy Freddy were just like most people. He was too much of a joke to be scary. However, once I played FNAF 2 for the channel, yeah, I still think Toy Freddy's a joke, but seeing him just stand there waiting to strike is unnerving. He's also the first of the blackout mechanic. Basically, you have a certain amount of time to put the mask on, or else you die. I love the idea of giving you a quick amount of time before you get jump scared. However, I think too many animatronics use this. Mangle may be one of my favorite animatronics. The story of this animatronic being pulled apart but never put back together always creeped me out. And seeing Mangle hang on walls and the cameras is delightfully disturbing. On top of that, Mangle can appear in both the right event and office hall. Her jump scare involves chomping you while on the ceiling, which has implications. But all in all, I like Mangle. Now, the internet's gonna rake me across the coal for this more or spicy than IKEA's Swedish meatballs, but I like the way how Balloon Boy works. Yeah, his constant sound effects are annoying, but having an animatronic disable one of your abilities rather than killing you is an idea I quite like. It makes the game more difficult, and having Balloon Boy being the one blocked by the masks makes it more tolerable to deal with Freddy. Speaking of him, I think he's neat. Instead of being blocked by the mask like every single animatronic, Foxy's blocked off by the flashlight. It's a great mechanic that switches up the gameplay well, and with the addition of Balloon Boy, really spices up gameplay. Also, and really stay with me here, guys. This is on the test. I like his design. Speaking of design, you know who has some awesome character design? Withered Bonnie and Withered Chica. My own opinions on them are relatively the same, so I'll just group them in one section. I think their designs are some of the best in the franchise, as they are really just terrifying. In fact, I liked Withered Bonnie so much that I made him part of my channel banner. You can also use the black mechanic to block them, which seeing them impatiently waiting to strike is delightfully horrifying. I'm running out of synonyms for spooky, guys. I'm gonna have to use Google now. Withered Freddy is the animatronic I have the most nitpicks with. For one, his jump scare looks like he's Pac-Man, and it's not that scary, and more silly than anything. Another is, out of all the animatronics, I feel like he's the one who shouldn't be blocked by the mask, as he is the mask. Instead of, what if we flip the camera instead of the mask? Not only would it make sense, but it would also give us more time to wind the music box. All in all, the cast of FNAF 2 is my favorite crew in any of the games. Even if I have problems with them, I think each of them has a purpose that they serve well. The only thing I want to talk about left are the various secrets and how those secrets tell a story. Like the first game, the secrets of FNAF 2 tell a greater plot, and the way it's told makes it one of my favorite ways a story has ever been told. There's a random chance every time you die, you'll get a minigame, showing an event in the FNAF story. Now, I've covered these in my William Afton video, and in case I want to cover the puppet or Golden Freddy, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, and focus on how the story is presented, rather than the story overall. The first shows one in purple kill a child locked outside of Freddy Fazbear's location. The second showing the murderer's other victims' bodies while in the backstage. The third shows the puppet having the other victims' souls be reborn through the animatronics. The last is just a free roam, so not important. Some more connections. The end of the first minigame has the puppet jump scare, so the puppet was indeed the first murder victim and possessed an animatronic. You play as Foxy in the second minigame, which could explain why he sees for the mask. And in the first minigame, a loud burping sound can be heard that when slowed down spells out save them. Food for thought. Having a story being told when you die, and very rare at that, is so interesting to me. I also like how it's in the Atari style, as it makes sense for the time period. On top of that, having free minigames have at least some story, but not a concrete order of events, makes discussions of the game really interesting. The order of when I listed the games is how I perceive the story. For all we know, the order could be Foxy, Free Roam, Give Life, Puppet. Regardless, I feel like having your own headcanon makes discussions interesting. There's no right order of events, only how you perceive it. With that said, let's wrap this up. All in all, I think FNAF 2 is one of the best in the franchise. It brings a lot to the franchise with its story, gameplay, and characters. Even with my flaws, I still think it's worth playing. Thanks for watching.